very interested in seeing that 4 million people quit their jobs in April. And they mostly were comprised of retail, professional, and business services.
To do what?
Well, nobody knows yet.
Yeah.
There are 9.3 million job openings in the food and hospitality sectors. And while I was walking around in our neighborhood, I was finding that a couple of stores had a little placard outside that said, we are closing at 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock because of staff limitations. I have never seen that.
I haven't seen that, but I saw you walking in the mall on your Instagram or something. Is that where you saw it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, in the mall. Yes, inside the mall. But also on the outside, on some of the stores that are not in the mall, I've seen these signs that said, unable to find staff, and therefore we're cutting our hours to blah, blah, blah. This has become a universal issue in our country right now. And for a while, it was because the benefits from the pandemic were outweighing the salaries of some of the lower level workers. But now it seems that this is a very good sign, as I read from the economists. This is a very good sign that people are quitting because they're more optimistic that they will find another job. What we experienced in the past year and a half seemed to be everybody terrified of moving anywhere.
Yeah.
And now it's not that way anymore. They are looking to change. I also saw a headline this morning that was amazing. It was, let me see if I can find it here. One of the presidents of, let me see, Morgan Stanley, Morgan Stanley CEO said to people in New York in particular, because that's where they are, if you expect to get the New York salary, don't tell me you're in Colorado and you're working from home.
Yeah, that's interesting.
If you want the New York salary, you're going to have to be in New York. So now this is putting a hole into all these people who said, I am no longer paying top dollar for rents and whatnot, and to live in places I no longer have to live near because I can work from home. Well, he just changed the rules, and I wonder how many other companies are going to follow.
Well, that kind of was happening a lot in education. A lot of, like, I worked for, when I was an MBA program chair at Ford School of Business, it's based out of California. So the California people made a certain salary. And then, if you lived out of California, you made less, right? And then, but then it was virtual, and people sometimes would move, and they would be originally in California, but they didn't change their salaries when they would move. And so I saw a lot of that already. And so I think now that they're going to have it on such a scale, companies are going to have a policy on that, because a lot of people did that. They go, well, yeah, I'll live here, and then they move, and they benefit from it all.
Yes, people are, this is history in the making now, because the things that the company said okay to during the pandemic are no longer okay any longer.
Right.
They're not okay. And we know that New York pays huge salaries.
Yeah.
I mean, as one part of the nation. We also know that rentals cost an absolute fortune. I'll tell you one story that my friend told me about. One of his clients was paying $12,000 a month for rent. And her lease was up. Why she didn't buy a place, I don't know.
Yeah.
But her lease was up. She runs a hospital, so she does very well, and the money doesn't seem to be anything that will dent her pockets. So she was looking around and looking around. She couldn't find a new apartment to live in, and she just figured, okay, maybe I'll just re-up the apartment that I have. But then when she looked around further during the pandemic, she found a very spacious apartment for $15,000 a month. And the guy was
Better be
on,
spacious.
oh, yes, but this is New
Uh,
York.
uh,
And the guy who had the apartment, owned the apartment, had not been able to rent it anywhere, anytime. Everybody has been leaving New York, myself included.
right.
So he went in and he said, look, I have been unable to rent this apartment. Tell you what, I'll give it to you for the next 2 years on a lease for $3,800. From 15,000 to 3,800. You know,
Wow.
she grabbed it.
Oh, yeah.
And but this is the nature of the economy in New York now. And I saw the egress of so many people. Now, with this new information that we just got in the news, uh, with this company saying, no, no, Morgan Stanley is going to be at least one of the first companies that says, you want to live here? No, you want to work at Morgan Stanley, New York? You're going to have to live here.
Yeah. Well, I think it's been going on. It's just, they haven't enforced it when people leave. You know what I mean? I think that they would have different salaries based on where people lived, but those who started off in New York and then moved, you know, then that's the big new issue. And that's what's happening now. So many people are moving and everybody's moving to Austin or wherever they're moving out of California.
Already moved. Now, this is
Yeah.
the point.
Mhm.
This is not our moving.
Yeah.
This not no gerund there. This is have moved
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
the past tense. So what
Yeah.
do? You want that salary, maybe, or you're counting on that salary, maybe, and you're already with your family in a whole new setup somewhere far, far away. What
Yeah.
are people doing?
It's going to be interesting to see. I think that, you know, back to the speaking realm of what we normally talk about, of
Yes.
what people are going to pay for things now
Oh,
post-COVID. There's so much going on with just everybody doing things for free because they just need to keep their faces out there, their names out there, that, you know, recognition is really important. And if you were trying to get a paid gig for a while, you couldn't really get one because there weren't gigs. And so people would do a lot of virtual stuff for free just to be out there. But now that people are kind of becoming back and companies got used to getting things for free, now this whole speaking circuit has been upended.
good.
Now what'll happen?
Psychologically, I'm used to not paying. So why should I start paying now?
Right. Well, you did it for free before.
Well,
And
right.
so it's going to be interesting I think it's going to weed out, I don't know how all these people who just lived off of speaking and consulting, and that was all their eggs in that basket, made it through all this. I mean, you've got,
But that's a good question, because how does anyone make it in just one sector today when the sectors are just so lopsided and
yeah.
thrown into other sectors and eaten up by other sectors? How does anybody do that?
Well, you have to have a pipeline of different things, you know, like for us, you know, we speak, we consult, we write, you have all these different things. For me, I had more attention on my curiosity code index or perception power index and things that were training wise, because you could do those virtually, you can do them around the world. You can do, you know, things without having to be in person, you know? And so, you know, my online teaching, of course, I still do that. And that is the other income. And that's other things that I do. So I think just creating those courses like that one you and I have talked about that I created for curiosity for another company, and just having so many different outlets. I think so many people who are thinking of being speakers or want to get, you know, to be authors or whatever, they put it all in their hopes of that.